What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to look at the FAQ for OP-04. Kingdoms of Intrigue is, well, the pre-release is starting this weekend, and look, the rule is very simple. If you're going to play the game, you need to know the rules. Simple as that. So let's start off having a look with Igaram. Now, here we've got a character. Activate main. You may rest this character, give your active leader minus 5,000 power during the turn, and then look at 5 cards on the top of your deck, find an Alabasta card, pop it in your hand, and put the rest of the cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. Can I use this if my active leader power has already been reduced to 0 by another effect? Yeah. The leader will then have minus 5,000 power, but that's absolutely fine. Of course, remember, we've got leaders like Nefertari Vivi in this set who can't attack, so just keep lowering her power, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be fine. Now, Usopp here, on KO, you get to KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 5,000 base power or less, which leads to the fairly obvious question, well, what do we mean by base power? It means a power value written on the card. So Usopp's power is 5,000 as a base. A base power is 5,000. And there's plenty of effects that will put power up and down, both yours and your opponent's. But this, you're only looking at what the base power actually is written on the card. Now, Kuru is a nice card coming in here. Activate main. You may rest this character to give up to 1 rested Don card to each of your Alabasta type characters. Okay. Well, what if I don't have enough rested Don in my cost area to give one to each of my Alabasta type characters? Well, this one makes perfect sense. You do as much as you can. You will select as many Alabasta type characters as you have rested Don, and give each of them 1 rested Don. Nice and simple. Can I use this to give a character a Don card that has already been given to another character? No. And the reason very simply is you are, in skills like this, when it's referring to these rested Don, it is referring to rested Don in your cost area. It does not allow you to redirect a Don from one character to another, just to take a Don from your cost area and attach it to one of your characters. Now, we've got Koza coming in here. And this is another one of those lovely Alabasta cards. When attacking, you can give one of your active leaders minus 5,000 power, to give this character plus 2,000 power until the start of your next turn. So yes, it will run through your opponent's turn. And it's the same thing that we saw a moment ago with Igaram. Can you do this even if you've already minus 5,000? Yes. Yes, you absolutely can. Now, we got Chaka coming in here, another Alabasta character. Don X1, when attacking, if your leader is Nefertari Vivi, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 3,000 power during this turn, and then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 0 power or less. Well, do they have to be the same? Can you give minus 3,000 to one character, but then KO a different one? Yeah, as long as they got 0 power, you're fine. And sometimes you will want to do this. Sometimes you want to lower the power of a blocker, for instance, so they can't block you and stay, but you then want to KO somebody else instead. Potentially it's a way of nerfing 2 cards here rather than 1. Bring them down to 0 power, make them very ineffective, but then go and KO something else instead. Now, we have got ourselves the rather fun-titled Super Spot Build Duck. Yeah, it's them, or troops is on the end. When attacking, you may give your 1 active leader minus 5,000 power during this turn. Return this character to the owner's hand at the end of this turn. Which, of course, it's got counter plus 2,000. So, yes, you will absolutely want to be putting this back into your hand sometimes because of the whole counter plus 2,000 thing. Okay, you know where we're going with this, don't you? Can you do this even if your leader already has 0 power? Yes. Yes, you absolutely can. Now, Nami is coming in with phenomenal artwork in this set. When attacking, reveal a card from the top of your deck. If it's a character with 6,000 power or more, this character gains 3,000 power during this turn, then place the revealed card at the bottom of your deck. Can I choose not to reveal a card from the top of my deck when I'm using this character to attack? No. And this is just wording on the card. It doesn't say you may, it just says reveal one card from the top of your deck. It's not an optional thing, you have to do it. I suppose if you have 0 cards in deck, you wouldn't need to, but I think if you've got 0 cards in deck, you've got bigger problems. Now, Bad Manners Kick Course comes in here as a new event card. And what we've got is a 0 cost card. As a counter, trash a card from your hand to give your leader or one of your characters 3,000 power during this battle. And as a trigger, give your opponent's leader or one of their characters minus 3,000 power during this turn. Well, if I'm using this as a counter, can I choose not to trash a card from my hand? Yes, you can, but then you don't get the 3,000 power. So you can essentially just play this, not trash a card from your hand and do nothing. You are allowed to do that. What you're not allowed to do is not trash a card from your hand, but still give the 3,000 power. That would be very silly. Now, Happiness Punch is a 1-cost event card. It's got a counter. Give up to one of your opponent's leader or character cards minus 2,000 power during this turn. And then if your leader is active, give up to one of your opponent's leader or characters minus 1,000 power during this turn. Nice. Of course, we know, things like Nefertari Vivi, we've got a bunch of skills that will make them not active because you're not attacking with them anyway, and other leaders you attack and then they're not active. This is basically rewarding you if you've got an active leader. Well, if my leader is active, can I just use this counter effect to give one card a total of minus 3,000 power? Yeah, cool, go for it. You're fine. You're totally allowed to do that. Now, Enchanting Vertigo Dance is another one that's coming in here. If your leader has the Alabasta type, give up to 2 of your opponent's characters minus 2,000 power, and that is both a main and a trigger. Okay, well, can I use it to give one of my opponent's characters a total of minus 4,000? No, because it specifically says give up to 2 of your opponent's characters minus 2,000. If it was give a character minus 2,000 and then give a character minus 2,000, usually you'd be able to add them together, but here you are specifically targeting 2 different characters. Now, we got Donquixote Doflamingo coming in as a leader here. At the end of your turn, you set up to 2 of your Don cards as active. Can I use this to set Don cards already given to a character as active? Like we said earlier, no. Skills like this are targeting Don cards in the cost area. Now, Isho is another leader which we see. Don X1 on your turn, give all your opponent's characters minus 1 cost. And at the end of your turn, you can pay 1 to set up to one of your characters with a cost of 5 or less as active. Well, what if it's a Don card that has just been made active by an end of turn skill? Can I then rest that to use Isho's skill? Yeah, you totally can. You just do them in that order, and you're good to go. Now, Sugar is a very interesting card coming in here, because what we've got is a rather lovely skill whereby on your opponent's turn, once per turn, when your opponent plays a character, if your leader has the Donquixote Pirates type, rest up to one of your opponent's characters, then rest this character. Well, what if this character is already rested, but I've not used this skill yet? Can I use this opponent's turn effect to rest my opponent's character? Yes. And the reason is very simple. You rest your opponent's character, then you rest your own. And it doesn't say you must be active or anything like that. So your opponent plays a character, then you rest one of their characters, then you go to rest Sugar, but she's already rested. That's fine. If I have not yet used this effect, can I decide not to use it when my opponent plays a character, and instead rest the next character they play? No. Unfortunately not, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately not. You have to do this at the time. I am sorry. Yeah, Sugar keeps going, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of rulings about Sugar. If my leader does not have the Donquixote Pirates type, can I still use the on-play effect? That's the one that rests one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. Absolutely. Because that one doesn't have the if your leader is Donquixote Pirates, so you're good. If I had this character on my field, when my opponent used OP-03 Marco, and used its on-play effect to KO this character, can I still activate this character's opponent's turn effect? The answer is essentially no. Marco comes in and KOs, so you're not there in order to actually use the effect. I'm sorry. Now, Senor Pink is another one of those Donquixote Pirates coming in here, and when attacking, pay 1. If your leader has the Donquixote Pirates type, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less, and then set up to one of your Don cards as active at the end of this turn. Kind of thing you can use with Isho, incidentally. A nice little example of what we talked about earlier. Well, if I use this effect, and this character then leaves the field, can I still set up to one of my Don cards active at the end of this turn? Yes. Essentially, you've already set it in motion that the Don is going to be made active, so even when this goes away, it still does get made active. Now, Diamante here is a blocker, and Don X1 at the end of your turn. If you got 2 or more active Don, set this character to active. Well, when calculating my active Don for this effect, can I include Don cards that have been changed from rested to active by another end of turn effect? Yes, you can. Which is really important, of course, because one of the main points of Diamante is you use Donquixote Doflamingo, you turn those 2 Don active at the end of your turn, then you activate Diamante straight away. That is literally the point. So yeah, but because there's multiple end of turn effects, you do them in the order you wish. Now, there is a new Donquixote Doflamingo, which is a very interesting card, and yes, has multiple rulings attached to it. And what we've got here is on play, up to a total of 3 of your opponent's rested leader and character cards will not become active in your opponent's next refresh phase. Well, if I selected my opponent's rested character for this, and then it becomes active during that turn due to another effect, will that character be rested during my opponent's next refresh phase? No. Essentially, what the skill does is it stops characters becoming active. But if they've already been made active by something else outside of the refresh phase, unfortunately, they are active, and that is the kind of thing your opponent's going to want to do. Which player chooses the leader or character cards that do not become active according to this effect? Obviously, it's the person who played Donquixote Doflamingo, otherwise the card would be way worse. Can I choose 3 of my opponent's characters according to this on-play effect? Yes. Yes, you absolutely can. Remember, it's up to 3 of your opponent's rested leader or character cards, but you absolutely can just go for all characters if that's the way you want to go. Now, I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce this one, I apologise. Machvise? Again, I read the manga. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm doing my best here. On play, if your leader has the Donquixote Pirates type, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less, then set one of your Don cards active at the end of this turn. Well, if my leader doesn't have the Donquixote Pirates type, can I still activate the skill to get one of my Don active at the end of this turn? No. Essentially, it is all dependent on your Donquixote Pirates leader. If you've got a Donquixote Pirates leader, you rest a character and then activate one of your Don at the end of the turn. If you don't, none of this actually comes in. If I activate this character's on-play effect, and then it leaves the field, do I still get the Don activated at the end of the turn? Yes, you do. It's just like we talked about with Senor Pink at a couple of minutes ago. You've already essentially set that in motion, and it will stay around. Now, Lao G, we got a lot of Donquixote Pirates here that need a little bit of a ruling. At the end of your turn, if you got 3 or more active Don, KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 3 or less. And this is the thing we talked about a minute ago. Does this include Don that are activated at the end of your turn, for instance, with the Doflamingo leader? Yes. Yes, it absolutely does. Now, Spiderweb is a card which is kind of fun. It's a counter that says up to one of your leader or characters gains 4,000 power during this battle. Then you set one of your characters as active. Or as a trigger, you just get 2,000 power to your leader. Well, if a character that is being attacked is set to active using this counter skill, does it nullify the attack? Nah. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is true you can only attack suspended characters or rested characters not active, but they were a valid target when the attack was started. This doesn't stop that happening. Can I activate the blocker of a character set active by this counter during this battle? No, the block step's already been and gone. It's too late. I'm sorry. Now, Donquixote Family comes in as a rather nice one-cost event card. As a counter or as a trigger, look at 5 cards on the top of your deck, find a Donquixote Pirates card and add it to your hand, placing the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. Can I activate this card from my hand during the main phase? No! It clearly says on the card counter and trigger. It doesn't say main, there is no main effect. This card only works as a counter or as a trigger. Very good card. If it did work as a main, that would be even better. But no, ladies and gentlemen, no. And then finally, the weak do not have the right to choose how they die. 5-cost card, main and counter, so this one can be used as a main. Rest up to one of your opponent's leader or character cards, then KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 6 or less. And as a trigger, set up to 5 of your Donnas active, which is kind of cool. Can I use this effect to rest a character with a cost of 6 or less and then KO that character? Yes. Because it is in 2 parts. First, you rest one of your opponent's leader or character cards. Then you look for a rested character with a cost of 6 or less to KO. Because they're done one after the other, that is absolutely right. Now, because there are a lot of rulings, we are going to have to pick this up in a part 2 shortly. So that's the first lot of rulings you need to know. We'll be back with the second half very shortly indeed. For now, I want to know what you think about this. I want to know if any of these don't make sense. I want to know anything you want to tell me. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.